Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of A Friday Night In, proudly sponsored by Heineken, official beer of Lancashire cricket, and of course, Emirates Old Trafford. I'm Warren Hegg, and this week I'm joined by two terrific former all-rounders of the club. One a little bit rounder than the other, but like myself, he's wintered well and been great in isolation. Delighted to be welcomed by two former Red Rose stars, real stars of Lancashire cricket, in Phillip DeFreitas and Ian Austin. Hi, boys. How are you doing? Great to see you.
Good, Paul. Good, Paul. How are you?
I'm really good. Really good. Really good. You're looking great, the pair of you. 10 weeks into lockdown now, maybe even 11 weeks. And Daffy, we'll start with you first. How have we been coping with being holed up and in the house with the family? What's it been like?
Oh, mate. Normally, it's sort of this time of year, the summer, we're all over the place. You know, sort of you're watching cricket or you're coaching, you're out maybe playing golf. So you know, I'm hardly at home during this time of year. And the last 10 weeks. It's been hell. I reckon they've had enough of me. And what I've found myself doing is basically taking the dog for a walk every day just to get out. The first 3 weeks, the boys, you know, off school, they loved it. It was absolutely fantastic. They are Xbox, and then suddenly you've got online schooling. Online schooling's gone. Yeah, it's gone up, mate. And I tell you what, they're experts. They're absolute experts at Xbox now. And trying to get them off the Xbox to do online schooling is absolute nightmare. So it's been a bit of a nightmare, really.
Well, funny you should say that, because my little lad, he's 7, Charlie, and he's just come down, and the first things that comes to his mouth is where's my computer? So I hide it. So you can't have a go of it until you've done your maths and your English. So yeah. I've hidden it here. He's just come down 20 minutes ago. First thing out of his mouth, not I'm hungry, or where's my cup of tea, or where's a piece of toast. Where's me switch?
Yeah, it's been like that, mate. It's been a nightmare. But I think the kids, they've loved it. You know, sort of getting up. You know, my oldest, who's at high school. He wakes up, he goes to bed most probably about 3 or 4 in the morning, playing with his mates online, and then he gets up around 12, 1 o'clock, comes down, and he has breakfast at 1 o'clock, and I look at him and said, "What are you doing?" And he looks at me and says, "Yeah." And it's just, I think they're loving it, but it's been a nightmare for us. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And Oscar, you're a granddad now, and so you must have had some in the last few weeks, had some real good downtime with the young uns.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, the weather's been fantastic, really, for just being outside. So she's been round, and she's just about walking now. She's 14-month-old, so she's charging around everywhere. And if I weren't grey before, I would have been now. She's into everything, every cupboard. I went in the kitchen the other day, and she's got 2 bottles in her hand, which probably won't surprise you, being my granddaughter. The only difference being, one's very liquid, that she's learned to take the top off, and she's swigging that, and the other one is rinse aid that goes in the dishwasher. And you're just looking at it going, oh no, what next? It's just a nightmare.
Well, you are, you know, you're famous. You know, the Oscar barbecues during the good weather during our time were famous, weren't they, Daff? And go around to Oscar's house, and he'd have a big side of lamb on and a big side of pork marinated for 3 or 4 days in all these spices. Oscar, it must have been perfect, this weather, for you for barbecue weather.
It would have been if the biggest problem I've had has been the gas supply. How bad's that? You've got the best weather, perfect conditions, perfect everything, and you can't get a bottle of gas anywhere. Fortunately, I keep 3 bottles in, but I've just about survived. I've just got a new supply this week, so I'm all right.
Oh, brilliant.
Chop a tree down or something like that. get your axe out and chop a tree down and start a barbecue. Because remember, Daffy, those times we had at Oscar's barbecues on, you know, they were write-offs, weren't they? I remember the big barbecue, food in excess, massive food, and Alex had done a brilliant salads, and Oscar was meat. It felt like Desperate Dan, and he had that big beer case full of ice. And you just had to come in, drop your beer in, and it was like a lucky dip, wasn't it? Whatever you put your hand in and picked it up, and whatever came out, you had to drink.
Those were the days, man. They were sensational. They were wonderful days, and if you look back, I mean, we had a great time. You know, off the field, we had a fantastic time. On the field, it was terrific. But off the field, you know, we're like a family, weren't we? And that's what it was all about. Yeah.
But you don't think that's why we were successful, Daffy, though?
Yeah, definitely, Oscar. I mean, the thing is, we all, you know, in the changing room, we all mates. You know, we all became mates. We played golf. We did everything together. You know, we had a laugh. You know, we took the mickey out of each other. You know, I remember sort of, you know, we talked about, you know, Dexter Fitton. You know, I remember Dexter in the changing room. And, you know, and even, you know, Graham Lloyd. I mean, I got a nickname, Denzel, from Only Fools and Horses. They started calling me Denzel. And I remember Lloyd and Dexter, you know, sort of walking around, giving it the old, you know, all right, Denzel, mate. But look, mate, it was, you know, they were fantastic times. And, you know, I look back in fond memories. And, you know, we're mates. We're mates for life, you know, and that's what was so great about it.
Yeah,
absolutely right, and that team and everyone we spoke to, all the former players in that team of the late 80s all the way through the 90s, it has touched on that being a real strong point of why we're successful. And Daffy, and we were joined by the likes of yourself and of course Wasim Akram to Team Perfect. What do you remember of that?
Well, you know, I mean, I sort of befriended, you know, Harvey, you know, Neil Fairbrother, one, you know, sort of playing for England. And, you know, I was playing, you know, for Leicestershire, which on paper, they were a great side. You know, on paper, it looked a fantastic side. But I always felt, you know, when we went on the field, we weren't quite a team. And I wanted to win things. I wanted to play, you know, sort of improve my test, you know, cricket. And I remember Harvey mentioned Lancashire to me. He says, oh, you know, you should come and play for Lancs. And blow me, you know, I got approached by Clive Lloyd. Clive Lloyd, I remember sort of talking to me about Lancashire. And then next thing I knew, Alan Omrod and David Hughes spoke to me and said, look, you know, if you are interested, we're very much interested in you coming to Lancs. And, you know, to my word, I said, yeah, definitely, I'd love to. But they sold it for me. They just said to me, 1 week you'll be opening the bowling with Wasim Akram, and the following week you might be opening with Patrick Patterson, you know, and you know, and that was just, you know, deal done basically, you know. And then, but coming to Lancs, you know, there was this Lancastrian, you know, there was a lot of Lancastrian boys. There were guys who've been with Lancashire for, you know, for a long time. For me, you know, from youngsters going through, and you had to buy in. So I always said that you became an adopted Lancastrian, and then you had, you know, Wasim bought, you know, Wasim's a Lancastrian, you know, sort of, I bought into it, Pato bought into it, and I think you had someone like Trevor Jesty, you know, guys like that, Jest, you know, and we just became part of the family. And, you know, I say to everyone, you know, the years I've spent at Lancs, you know, they were the best years of my life, and the best thing I ever did. And the worst thing I ever did really was when I left Lancashire.
Oh, yeah, you said that before to me. But Oscar, what do you remember about Daffy joining that group of that band of men that we had?
What did you join, Daffy? 90?
80, is it 89, 90? Yeah.
90, yeah, I thought that. And then obviously you smashed, you know, you ruined the Lord's final against Scott. That was over with by 11:30. And then all you're thinking about, right, oh dear me, how long are we going to last tonight? Came in, and it was like, whoa, this bloke can bowl a bit here. You know, you can do this, you can do that. But it was the banter side of things as well.
Yeah.
You fit straight into that dressing room, fit straight in, straight away. But it was like getting on with people. I'll tell you what I'll remember always. You remember playing at Yorkshire at Scarborough?
Yeah.
We were in deepest, darkest on last day, chasing 3,500, and we were. You were in just before me. You said to me, "Right, are we having a wager? Or who can get to this day, you said that, right? You got 50 in 40 balls, something like that.
Yeah.
You got out, and as I was walking in, you couldn't look up at me. I could see your shoulders giving it that one. Right? You looked up, and you just whispered to me as I'm walking past you, "You try beat that then." And I walked to crease, and I'm killing myself laughing. And I ended up getting fastest 100 of the year that time. We were ragging square, and I just kept running down at Phil Carrick and just swinging. And I remember, I'll tell you what, if we hadn't gone off for tea, we'd have won that game.
We would have won that game, yeah, absolutely.
We'd have won that game. Because Dexter came in after me.
Yeah.
Or he came in, and he started smacking Phil Carrick, and Phil Carrick was going, "What's going on here with this lineup of yours?" He said, "You've got coming in, out to the rough, keep smacking through cover and extra cover." He said, "I wouldn't expect Viv to do that." And then Digger battered at 11, and Digger came in, and Digger was absolutely bricking himself. Get your 100, get your 100, get your 100. And then we went off for tea, and then we sort of lost a little bit of momentum then. And Digger, I think Goffey got Digger out eventually, or Peter Hartley, one of them two. But if we hadn't gone off for tea, we'd have. And I walked in dressing room at tea time, and I just got the under. I looked at you, and you just had your head in your hands going, "Can't believe you've got beat me. Can't believe you beat me to 50. But that was how we played the game, wasn't it? And that was
it was. I mean, I was just, the other thing was pre-season. Sort of. I always remember pre-season when Lancashire, we talked about, what we're going to achieve during the season. And one of the things that we always said, right, Lord's final, Benson and Hedges, NatWest, Lord's final, right, and it was who's going to organise the suits? And that was in April. It's good. And also the other bit was, right, where are we going out to celebrate? And I remember one day I sorted out the suits with Nickleby's. Remember Nickleby's suits? Yeah. And then I organised with Stringfellas. We went to Stringfellas after the final. So I mean, those they were great days. I mean, that's how good and confident we were as a team as well. Pre-season, April time. Thinking, right, Lord's final, can't wait. And that was Lancashire. That was Lancashire 80s, 90s.
Special times to have been part of that. And Oscar, you were man of the match in one or if not two of the games. Daffy, I know you were as well. Oscar's mentioned the Northants game, but Oscar, what are your memories of those few days that we travelled down to the capital to play cricket?
I think first final was against Worcester. In all honesty, I don't recall a right lot about the day, the actual game itself. I don't know why. I remember was it in Neil Radford on top tier at stand, and I remember bowling at speed of sound to get rid of Icky and Tim Weston, and then I just remember a good night afterwards. Northants game in 90 was a non-event because of Daffy. He killed the game completely. 5 for spit in first hour, and that was it. Game over. Thanks for coming. That was just a question of when. Other finals, Aravinda getting 100. Unbelievable. I still say to this day, if I'd have got the field I wanted, we'd have been finished at 4 o'clock.
Who was captain? I can't remember.
Winker. I think Winker was captain. Him and others. You've got to have Aravinda behind. Got to have your man at deep square behind square leg. Man at leg side. Always too risky, Aravinda. Too risky. And the first time I appear on any highlights is him hitting me for 6. It lands about a yard over the line where Lloydie would have been. Next ball goes into about third tier at stand. Next ball flies somewhere else, and next ball after that flies somewhere else. And I'm thinking, looks good, does this here for me? But all it do is it showing me getting panned all around ground by Aravinda. Eventually, I got him out, caught, deep square, just in front of square where I wanted that man in first place, where I always had him. And we got him, and as soon as he was out, that was the end of the game for that.
It's a brilliant day. What an innings that was. But Daffy, unbelievable. Probably one of the best one-day innings I've ever been in a game for, because he could have won the game on his own. But Daffy, you played in that era with Oscar and myself, and we went to Lords. Tell me about your memories of the atmospheres and build-up and things like that. What was it like for you?
Well, I mean, they were exciting days. I mean, you look forward to driving down, going down to London. And I'll never forget, like Harvey, the sort of day before we go down, he wanted to go to Chinatown, didn't he? He always wanted to go to Chinatown. So we always went, had something at Chinatown. And it was just the whole day, the support. We knew we had, loads of Lancashire supporters coming down, and that was what was great about it. And and the Lords was such a special occasion, and sort of going down in the hotel the day before, everything else was just terrific. And as Oscar says, my memories are just winning and then going out and just celebrating till early morning, basically. And and traveling down on the coach and in the hotel, just drinking on the coach. Those days were just incredible.
That's no different, lads, is it? I mean, that is no different. We've been very, very fortunate to play in the country's premium and stellar cricket competitions, but winning a final and the feeling you get from winning a final is no different than Baxenden second team winning the Lancashire Cup or something like that, because it's the same thing, isn't it? Because we've grown up at the same clubs.
Yeah, it's all relative, isn't it? You aspire to play in the final, win the final, or win the championship, or whatever it is. And all the time and effort that goes into that, for me, is what celebrating's all about. Yes, you've done it on that day, but it's not just that day, is it? It's the previous 5-6 games, sometimes 8 games in Benson's that you played to get to that final to warrant having a proper night out.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes it, made it so exciting for us is, like you said, we all mates. We played, cards, the old card school on the coach. We all bit of banter. Well, you had the younger ones at the back, you had the middle row, and then you had the management right at the front, and the back row was just card school, basically. Some of us lost our meal money by the time we got down to the
That's exactly right.
Exactly. So and I'll never forget. Sort of before we left Old Trafford, sort of make sure the Heskey was full of lager, so make sure we had the drinks in there to see us through the journey. But all that build up, everything else. But the great thing about it is, we wanted to win. We always wanted to. We wanted to win trophies because we love celebrating. Yeah. We wanted to celebrate. And, the thing I'll never forget is Harvey. Harvey loved it. Whenever we won trophies, Harvey loved the celebration. And, and it sticks with my memory. I remember one of the finals we won, I can't remember it. We were dancing, on the, in the changing room. Those, you just don't forget those days. They were fantastic days. Lord's final, it's what you live for.
We definitely had a feeling of enjoying each other's successes, and if your mate and if you're one of your gang that had a great day, it was great feeling for not only them but for you as well. But Daffy, you touched on something there that's just come to mind about Harvey and always wanting to go into Chinatown for some crispy duck, didn't he? Prior to a Lord's final, and I remember Yozza and myself, Peter Martin, Gary Yates, we used to go to a little Thai restaurant just round the corner from Lord's, a couple of beers. But Oscar and Bumble had this, Graham Lloyd that is, had this this thing they did every time. And Oscar, you'll back me up when I say that you used to go to a little pub round the corner from Lord's, you and Lloydie, and have a couple of beers, sat on a bar stool in some pub round the corner from Lord's every time you played.
Yeah, that's what you did. It was a routine. And Nick Speak came with us one time, and Freddie came with us one night. And the night before, we got in this pub, and we were going to go out for a curry afterwards, as we did.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
And we set off we were ready for going, and we looked outside, and it was teeming it down. And it was like, well, we'll just have another one then. And then we'll just have another one. And then we'll just have another one. We probably had a few too many, to be fair. And we're ready for going. Like, we've got final day after. We better make a move here now. And he went outside, and it was bouncing down again. Still bouncing down. So Freddie, being Freddie, and a young lad, decided, we'll borrow one of these umbrellas. The big garden umbrellas. Freddie legs it outside, gets under this umbrella, and he's trying to pull this, which is concreted into the floor. But never mind, that didn't apply to Freddie, did he? Because he was still trying to pull it out the bloody thing. Next thing you know, these two bouncers tapping on his shoulder. What's your game, mate? We just need to borrow this umbrella. We're going to get wet through. We're playing at Lord's tomorrow, cricket final. The bloke went, go forth and multiply, or worse than that. Cut that, or you'll be in an hospital bed and won't be playing in any final. So Freddie came legging it back and went, I've got an idea. And legged it down this street. Next thing you know, he came back with 4 dustbin lids. And they were like, what are you doing, Freddie? He went, we can all walk down with these, literally standing with these dustbin lids over our head and walk back to the hotel with these dustbin lids. We went out in t-shirts and jeans. And you walked in, your arms were absolutely soaking. From your ankles down was soaking, and everything else was dry as a bone. We threw these dustbin lids over this garden wall, walked into hotel as if nothing had happened.
That was the game, wasn't it? That's what was the game we did. It's such a different game that it is today, and players now, and probably right as well. Probably to be better at 7 o'clock ready to the game, but that's how we played our game. We played our. And Oscar, you went for a pint before every game. That was part of your makeup, and it's why I'm sure you'll say it's why it's so successful.
Well, I think everywhere I've sort of went and played, people always said, just treat the next game as you would any other game. And that was David Hughes saying that. Just treat it, whatever you do normally before a game, do that. Yes, it's a Lord's final. You might never appear at one again. Enjoy the whole occasion. Do what you do normally, and then go out and enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Which is what I did. And in fairness, that was exactly when I got called up for England. That's exactly what I got told then. Bob Cotton rang me up and he just said, do what you do normally before a game. So I went, right. We all met in bar, tab on. I went, yeah, go on, a pint of lager. Bob Cotton was sat there. Everybody else that walked through that door to a man either had Diet Coke, orange juice, or a sparkling water. And I looked around and I went, oh, no. Stitched up yet again here, though. Well done, you've dropped yourself right in it here now. A 30-odd-year-old making your debut, it was never going to be there for the next 15 years, so...
Enjoy.
Exactly, it was what it was.
Daffy, you went on, like you say, you've mentioned you played for England. We all played for England, but you were very, very decorated player. You're an Ashes winner in Australia, and you also played in Cricket World Cup finals. What did playing for England mean to you from that player that had come up from where you did, and you've reached the very, very pinnacle of your career?
Well, it's a strange one, Heggy. When you started playing as a youngster. All I was really interested in was becoming a professional cricketer. I played football as well, so I love sport. And I wanted to play. I wanted to play cricket. I wanted to be a professional cricketer. I wanted to, do something, in life, and be a professional, player. And when I turned a professional cricketer to Leicestershire, when I was given my county contract, it was the best thing in the world. And I never looked further at all. I never even thought about playing for England. All I wanted to do was just play county cricket. This is it. I'm playing first class cricket. I'm playing, and things just naturally happen. And then obviously my selection. It was just after a fantastic season. My selection for England was literally. It was a shock to me. Suddenly, I'm selected to go to Australia on an Ashes tour. So it happened very quickly. So there wasn't time to think, well, I want to. It just somehow happened. But playing for England, I mean, it meant the world to me. Just to, represent England, as you said, in an Ashes series, playing World Cup. But the great thing for me was, I looked at, I used to watch TV and I used to watch my heroes, Bothams, Lambs, Gowers, all these guys. I used to watch them on TV thinking, Christ, one day I want to be, I wouldn't mind being where they are. Next thing I know, 2 years later, I'm on a tour. I'm in Australia on an Ashes tour with my heroes. And and then suddenly my first 2 weeks on tour, I'm sharing a room with my hero, Botham. Ian Beaufort for 2 weeks of my first tour. It was just like, it was incredible. Unbelievable. Mate, those 2 weeks were the best 2 weeks of my life, I'm telling you.
It's probably what you've said it before, haven't you? Now I've spoken to you. It's more like a stag trip than an Ashes tour.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I tell you, it was unreal. I couldn't believe it. The first month out there on this tour, we didn't win a game. We didn't win a single game. We were garbage. And but you know what, mate? We socialised, and it reminded me a little bit like Lancashire. We had fun. We socialised. We had fun. But as soon as the stuff, the test matches started, the big boys, Botham, Lamb, Gowers, all these guys they switched on, and it was like, right, here we go. This means something. And the man management, you've got to give them credit for it. Mike Gatton, Nicky Stewart, they handle those guys, brilliantly. They gave them that freedom to start off with when things, when it wasn't that serious. It was just warm-up games. But when the real stuff started, they fought for, they were there. They were absolutely there, mate. And it was just a fantastic tour, brilliant tour.
You dominated, didn't you? You beat the Australians in their own backyard, which is there's not many people done that.
No. But we had fun, mate. We had fun, and it's like very much like Langs. Every time we won, we celebrated. We had Elton John who followed us all the way around. It was just brilliant, absolutely fantastic. I mean, my first 2 weeks, as I said, with both of them, it was just, this is my hero. I can't believe it. I'm sharing with my hero, and he looked after me. It was absolutely brilliant. And then I had Lammy. Bloody hell, I had 4 weeks. As a youngster on my first tour, 4 weeks with those two. Let me tell you, mate, they taught me some things, mate. Let me tell you.
But like you say, quality test match and international cricketers that when it came to A lads A, we're in a bit of a battle here. We're in a bit of a game. They'd be first to put their hands up to perform.
Absolutely, man. And that's what it was about, Heggy. You saw they were characters, mate. Off the field they enjoyed themselves, but on the field, you listen, mate. You can't knock them. They were on the field. They were absolutely brilliant, and it was an absolute, privilege and pleasure actually walking out and playing Test match cricket with those guys. And I was fortunate. I was very young. I came in and played with those guys towards the end of their careers. But playing with those guys was something I'll never forget.
Brilliant. And moving on from cricket now and moving into normal day life. Oscar, you've got a nice little project going on that's just about to open up for you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I think over the years, I think I've kept enough bars and what have you open myself anyway. I think I've probably paid for about 5 or 6, outright anyway. So we'd had I think our Matthews always fancied having a go at it. And then our Victoria, now that she's a parent, he's sort of always wanted a bit of something to do. So we've decided that we would open a bar of our own. So it's a little venture we're going down called the Tipsy Table in Accrington. And
right, mark that
down. Open in about a month's time.
The Tipsy Table in Accrington, and is it what kind of place is it? Is it a craft beer place? Is it normal?
No, we're just looking at sort of putting on just what I would call a circuit bar. Places. There's a few bars around now. Accrington's on its way back a little bit, and so we're just going. People can come in. We're having a few cocktails on the menu, a few that'll be probably quite unique, I suspect. And sort of doing that way, we'll have real ale on there, and we'll just have everyday drinks that people have heard of.
So the Tipsy Table, and it's going to open the next few weeks when restrictions are lifted a little bit.
I suspect we'll be probably a week or so after when restrictions are lifted. If people are back in the bars at the 4th of July, I suspect we will be around about the 14th.
And are you going to be on which side of the bar? Can I just...
Preferably not behind the bar. Just keep your eye on the staff pouring the perfect pint.
Brilliant. And Daffy, what are your days, mate?
Well, it's a strange one really, because obviously we can't coach at the moment, and I've been sort of working with the Leicestershire Academy, and then part of my summer was to spend as much time with them, and then occasionally with the second team as well. And also I'm head coach of London schools. So there's no cricket, there's no coaching. So it's just a bit of frustration, really. You just can't do anything at the moment. So, as I said, normally in the summer, I'm busy. I'm all over the place, and it's just been weird. It's been really weird. I mean, even golf. I mean, I love playing golf. I've hardly played any golf at all, to be honest. And it's just, I think it's just trying to keep yourself motivated, right? Like I said, I go for long walks, occasionally run with a dog. And just fingers crossed that we can get back to doing a bit of cricket, really.
Absolutely, that's a really good message to probably finish on, boys. And we're all cricket people at heart. We're all cricket men at heart, and we're desperate to see some form of cricket this year from the boundary line, and watching how people enjoy the cricket, especially Oscar around the Lancashire area. That cricket is such a prevalent part of people's weekends.
Yeah, it's been difficult and it's been frustrating, and I just think I think people are frustrated because they're still not sure what's going on. Obviously they know about what's happened with sort of lockdown and one thing and another, but nobody seems very sure about what's happening with how do we get out of this. Michael Vaughan wrote a piece, didn't he, on Facebook or whatever the other day. It was a good piece, a real good piece. And he's saying, well, we're back playing football. There's more physical contact in football than there'll ever be in cricket. They keep saying outside's fine. And you've got 13, 14 blocks stood in a bloody big field, miles away. You do well, apart from slip and sort of batsman at non-strikers end next to umpire, if you get within 3 or 4 yards of anybody on a cricket field. So there's that side of it, and I get the off the field is difficult in the sort of toilet situation, the changing room situation. That's not ideal, but I think at the end of the day we need to try and get some form of cricket on, because if we lose a full season, then I don't think it augurs well for the game going forward from a grassroots level.
Totally agree. Daffy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it is frustrating. I mean, the only positive, so far is obviously England playing West Indies at Old Trafford behind closed door. At least we're going to get some cricket that way. And my personal opinion is, I think we're seeing how that goes on. I think once that gets going, and once everything's okay with that, then they might just allow other things. But at the moment, we don't know what's going on. We haven't got a clue. We're just waiting for the government and the ECB really to make those decisions. And rightly, as Oscar says, it'll be a shame if we don't get some sort of cricket. Even if it's just a couple of months. In August, September, especially with the youngsters. I mean, a lot of youngsters have spent all winter indoors, sort of preparing for the summer, and suddenly the summer's coming, more or less going. So it'll be nice just to get some, because sooner or later you're back indoors again. So it'll be nice, fingers crossed, that we get a little bit of cricket towards the end.
Brilliant, absolutely great message. And lads, from two of Lancashire's finest all-rounders in the history of our team, it's been great to chat to you again. It's been great to relive those giggling memories and the fun that we had as a really successful unit in the 80s and 90s. And I've talked to a lot of guys over this 10-week period, and one thing that comes out of it is the fun we had while being successful. And you can't take that away. You can't take that away from us, and we'll always have the memories. And that's why I think during the former players' dues that we have nowadays, we reminisce, and we can sit back, kick back, tell people how good we were, and tell people But Ian Austin, Phillip DeFreitas, thanks for joining us on a Friday night in. It's been great to chat to you. Hopefully we can chat to you a little bit more over the next coming weeks, but really appreciate your time this morning, and we look forward to seeing some cricket and catching you back at Emirates Old Trafford one day.
Brilliant. Well, look forward to seeing you both in Oscar's bar, mate. As soon as we get the order, we'll be up there for a few pints, Oscar. Look forward to
Be good to catch up.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Around the golf first, and then we'll go and have a few jars. How about that?
Sounds perfect day to me.
Brilliant.